What's up, guys? I'm Daemonxel, and I got all the information that you need to know for Chapter 4, the last chapter of the Mines of Moria raid, including the start date, so let's talk about it. Alright, so we have Chapter 4, the Mines of Moria, Shadow and Flame, coming on October 17th, approximately. Remember, they are saying that this date is approximate. It could change if it's necessary to, but we know a date. We know it's around the 17th. So, with that being said, to get to unlock Chapter 4, just like the other chapters before, you need to have at least scored 17 million points in the previous chapter to unlock this chapter. And let's go into exactly what you're going to need as far as scoring goes, right? So that's what we all want. All right, so there are a couple things that we're going to get into. I'm going to announce this and we're going to dive into it. And we're basically later going to talk about what teams would probably be best going in there. So, point-wise. Now, also remember the Balrog's name is Durin's Bane, okay? So, it's not... yeah. So, you're going to gain 100 points for every percentage of health lost to Durin's Bane. So, you're going to get 500 points for each Bane cleansed or resisted by an ally of your team. You're going to gain 15,000 points for flinching Durin's Bane. Now, I know I was confused by that term as well. We're going to get into it, and we're going to find out exactly what flinching means in this instance. But you're also going to get 2,500 points when Durin's Bane exits its shadow form or its flame form. That's right, it is a multi-phased fight. So, let's talk about the enemy itself, the Balrog, otherwise known as Durin's Bane. It is the fiery denizen of Moria, the Balrog known as Durin's Bane. Now, its passive abilities is called a Creature of Terror. Now, this is going to make it immune to stun, blind, burning, bleed, poison, all those things that you counted on in Chapter 2 when we were facing the Stone Troll. Those things that would burn down that health quickly, it's not a factor in this fight. That's right. This is going to be a direct damage fight, so a lot of your Banes are not going to be helping you in this sense. Now, there will be some, but let's talk about this first. The Creature of Terror passive, then we'll talk about the Creature of Shadow passive. We'll talk about all these different passives because it's a multi-layered fight. So, when the Balrog when it reaches 1 health, right? It's going to lose all of its turn meter. It's going to remove all boons and banes on itself. It's like a self-cleanse. And it's going to lose 5 stacks of its flame form and 5 stacks of its shadow form on itself. It's going to gain a stack of enrage, and it's going to become flitched, right? That's what we were talking about before, and this up here, you're going to get 15,000 points for flitching Durin's Bane. So basically, you're going to get an additional 15,000 points for bringing him all the way down to 1 health when he goes into that. Think of it like the topple for Chapter 2, right? Because once he comes out of that topple, once you do enough damage to it, it's going to have that in range. That's what's going to happen here, but it's going to work a little bit differently. In this form, when it's flitched, it's not going to be susceptible to any Banes. So, right there we know when it's not flitched, right? When you're fighting it, as a Creature of Terror, it's going to be immune to stun, blind, burning, bleed, and poison, but you could still slow it. You could still, you could still weaken it. You could still put expose on it. So those Banes are still in effect. You can use those only until it goes into the flitched state. So, we know it's going to remove all Banes. In that instance, it's going to remove its turn meter completely, so it's going to be down to 0. Now, the way this is going to work is a little bit different. So, you're going to have to be calculating on how you want to do this. It's going to gain 25% turn meter and heal for 25% of the character's max health by the end of any character's turn. So, it's going to heal 25% of its own health when your character takes his turn. It's going to gain 25% turn meter when that character's turn is over as well. So, you're basically looking at 4 characters to go until he's back to normal. Because at reaching 100%, turn meter, it's going to return back to its normal form. Now, let's talk about Creature of Shadow, its other passive. This is probably when he goes into the Shadow phase. On Evade, he's going to gain 3 stacks of Shadow form. Okay, so if he evades any of your attacks, he's going to get 3 stacks of Shadow form and 20% turn meter. On reaching 20 stacks of Shadow form, he's going to gain 100% turn meter. On turn, if this character has 20 stacks of Shadow form, it's going to heal itself for 30% of its max health. It's going to immediately use Blackout. We're going to find out what Blackout is. And it's going to transform into its Shadow form, and it's going to consume all those stacks of its Shadow form, and it's going to get 5 stacks of its Flame form on itself. So it looks like the order is going to be normal to Shadow to Flame. That's how I'm reading this here. Now, while he's in his Shadow form, he's going to have new abilities available to him. Obviously, whatever Blackout is going to be one of those. It's going to be immune to all Bane, so no Expose, no Slow, no Weaken. All of those, gone. You're not going to be able to use any of those. When he reaches 1 health, it's going to lose all turn meter, remove all Banes, lose 5 stacks of the Flame form, and lose 5 stacks of the Shadow form, and he's going to gain a stack of range and become Flinch. So basically, no matter which form it's in, as long as you bring him down to 1 health, you're going to get that Flinched 15,000 extra points, and it's going to remove all the boons, all the Banes, and it's going to lose some stacks of both phases. Now, the Creature of Flame passive. When an enemy takes damage from burning, it's going to gain 2 stacks of Flame form and 10% of its turn meter. On reaching 20 stacks of Flame form, it's going to gain 100% of turn meter. On turn, if this character has 20 stacks of Flame form, it's going to heal itself for 30%, and it's immediately going to use Infernal Ignition. Maybe these moves, Blackout and Infernal Ignition, maybe that is the move to set itself to that form, right? Infernal Ignition, that tells me it's going to be in its Flame form. Blackout, it's going to be in its Shadow form. And it's going to transform into a Flame form. It's going to consume all the stacks of Flame, and it's going to gain 5 stacks of Shadow on itself. Now, during the Flame form, just like Shadow, it's going to be having all new availabilities, and on turn, if this character has no stacks of Incinerate, it's going to transform into its normal self. It's a little bit different. Also, again, it's immune to all Banes. So let's look at the character, let's look at his abilities in each form. In his normal form, his basic looks like it's going to be Branding Iron. It's going to attack a target for 220% of damage, inflicting burning for 2 turns. If the target already had burning on it, it's going to gain 25% turn meter. This attack ignores taunt and provoke. So, already, reading just this, cleanses are going to be massive in this. So you're definitely, on every team that you have, you want to have some form of cleanse. And this is why that Lord Balin is going to come in so clutch, because on his basic, remember, he's going to remove a Bane from his team. Every turn he takes, every basic, it's going to be removing a Bane. And his ultimate, his special 2 is going to remove Banes from the entire group. So yes, he is going to be, I think, clutch in this. We'll talk about teams. I'm getting ahead of myself. I know. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this chapter. I'm looking forward to the challenge. Let's continue on. Smoldering Wave. It's an AoE attack for 190% damage. It's also going to inflict Expose along with that burning, and the attack cannot be evaded. He's also going to gain 2 stacks of Flame form when he does this. Sightless Dread. He's going to dispel 2 boons from all enemies. He's going to inflict Blind for 1 turn on 3 random enemies. And again, this attack cannot be evaded. And of course, Shadow Assault. He's going to attack the target enemy for 340% damage, inflict Disrupted and Disable for 1 turn. He's going to inflict Blind for 2 turns, remove 1 stamina from each of the target's abilities. That's rough. And reduce their turn meter by 50%. It's going to gain 5 stacks shuffle. Yes, this is going to be a hard, challenging fight. And that's just in his normal phase, right? That's not even talking about his Flame form or Shadow form. But let's see what those are going to give us. In Shadow form, Smoke Strike, it's going to be at single attack of the target for 340% damage. It's going to dispel a boon. If the target has Shadow Beckons, inflict blind for 1 turn, and this attack cannot be evaded. Blackout, dispel 1 boons from all enemies, then inflict 1 stack of Shadow Beckons on each enemy that doesn't have a boon. Gain 10% turn meter for each enemy that was inflicted with Shadow Beckons, and by that attack, and he's gonna gain 2 stacks of counterattack, and of course it can't be evaded. Now, it says used upon entering and periodically within Shadow form. So, as soon as he goes into Shadow form, he's going to use this, right? And periodically during the fight, while he's in this form, he's going to use it again. So that tells me managing those stacks of Shadow and Fire are going to come in clutch. So this way you can kind of delay the inevitable the turning, and trying to keep him in normal phase. Okay, in Flame form, I'm sorry, I skipped, I'm sorry. Embrace Darkness, attack the target enemy for, okay, this is going to be, attack the target enemy for 1700% damage. If the target has Shadow Beckons, instead deal a fatal blow. Transform into normal form. This attack cannot be evaded. So, it sounds like, no matter what, it's going to be a fatal blow, right? 1700% damage. Unless this is a typo, right? If this is a typo, fine. But 1700, that's 1600% more than what's going to need to kill you. So, what's going to come in handy there? Okay, what's going to come in handy there is going to be your Unbreakables. Some teams do have them. But it seems like, no matter what, if he goes in the Shadow form and uses this, 1 character is going to die. Immediately, he's going to kill it, and he's going to go back to the normal phase. And the status effect of Shadow Beckons, it's going to affect all characters will receive a fatal blow if targeted by Embrace Darkness. So you're going to want to get rid of that Shadow Beckons off you immediately. While in Flame form, Infernal Ignition is going to attack all enemies for 160% damage, and he's going to gain 12 stacks of Incinerate. This attack cannot be counterattacked, only used when entering Flame form, so that's going to be the kickoff for this, and he's obviously going to burn down those stacks and return to normal. Hellfire is going to attack all enemies for 200% damage and inflict burning for 1 turn. It's going to consume 1 stack of Incinerate. And Incinerate, it's going to empower the abilities on Durin's Bane. Each hit removes 1 stack. So, it seems like Flame form is just going to be a timer that you're going to have to kind of press through while he burns down these stacks. Now, you can remove some of these stacks as well if you have certain characters. Morzor from Isengard will probably help with this, keep managing those stacks. But let's get into the game. Let's talk about teams that are going to do well here, right? Alright, so let's bring up the All-Stars of all the chapters previously. So it's going to be Rivendell. So the Rivendell team in itself, it's going to do well, but I would probably suggest removing a character. I mean, obviously you're going to want direct damage, right? So that's going to be your Elrohir and Lomian. Some good direct damage here. You're going to have your tank for Eldon to, focus the attacks on him. Lord Elrond's going to keep you healed, and if you do get killed, obviously he's going to be able to bring you back. Now, with that being said, right, the only cleanse that they have here, because, Vilania's Light does not cleanse. It's just a heal. It's just to put a Stack Regeneration on. But, however, this will help. Because remember, what was that? Let me bring this back here. Which one was it? As long as you don't have something on, I think it was Embrace Darkness. Let's see here. Let's see. Attack Army. Bane's blind for this evaded. One of these moves was, as long as if you did not have something on it. Let's see. Powers. No, that wasn't it. I think it's a shadow move. Counterattack this back to him made. Instead of fatal blue, transform normal form cannot be evaded. Sorry about I remember we were just talking about this. It said you wouldn't be able to get it as long as you had a boon on you. Yep, here it is. Sorry. It is blackout, right? It's blackout. So it's going to dispel 1 boon from all enemies. Inflict 2 stack on an enemy that, let's see. Inflict 1 stack that does not have a boon. So basically, you're going to have to at least have 2 boons. So even the regeneration is not going to help you. Yeah. So it's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough fight. But that being said, I think this team is still going to be really good. But what I might end up doing is, I might just, let's see, I might substitute Lomian and bring Naramiri in. Because if you have her leveled up, right? Purifying Right. Every 2 turns, you can cleanse 2 Banes from a squad member with the most Banes on them. So at least it's a help out. It's not everyone, but this running in tandem with Evening Star, where it's going to cleanse a Bane from all squad members. That's going to help out. That's probably going to be my team going in there, is Rivendell plus Naramiri, removing Lomian, putting him with another group. Most likely, I have been testing out Lomian and some of the other elves and dwarves. So what I may end up doing is Lord Balin with Lomian, with Legolas, with Gimli. And then I would pick another one, probably another healer or somebody like dwarf, maybe Philly or Killy. Maybe I'll remove Legolas, maybe Philly and Killy. But you have options. You want a cleanse on everything. Another good team, I think, also with this, even though it's not going to be the best, probably Isengard's going to do pretty well. Morja on this team is going to do really well. Because no matter what, he's going to have his ability here. I think it's Show No Fear. Yep, it's going to dispel 1 boon on the target enemy, so he's going to be able to manage those boons. And yeah, both of his specials are going to dispel boons on that. So this is going to be great for managing those stacks of shadow, those stacks of fire, so that he does not go into those ultimate forms. I think this is going to help out tremendously with this. What's going to hurt is that you're not going to be able to get the bleed, right? You're not going to be able to use Uglok's Blind. So the bleed from Ajak and Dunher's not going to work. However, I don't think it's really going to do much, but you have a heal block, which doesn't really... It's only for 1 turn. Unless you max it all the way out, then you get 2 turns. But you are going to get the expose from Ajak's basic, as long as he can land it. So the expose from Ajak's going to do really well to really let you lay in on the damage. And Maher is also going to be heavy going in on damage, as well as using the slow effect. As long as Uglok... Well, you get the slow effect even though Uglok doesn't assist if Uglok's dead. But I think Isengard's going to be a strong contender for a second team. Once Balin's Expedition fully comes out, that's going to be a great team. I think Gondor is also going to do a really good job here. Haradrim, I think they are going to do very well. Only reason because they share those passives. And as long as they're sharing the passives, they will have Unbreakable throughout them. So they will be able to survive that 1700% hit. Now, obviously their poison is not going to stick, right, on the normal form. It said poison's not due. But does the Black Serpent's poison, right? Who's on their... Someone has it on their base. I forget who's got it here. They all share it, so I don't really remember who exactly has it. There we go. Okay, it's on this one. So this is going to prevent a boon to stack up on there. So does it consider this as a poison or just a boon blocker, right? Obviously, when you hit this, it also gets a stack of poison or it transforms into a stack of poison. Obviously, that won't work, but we don't know. We'll have to do some testing to find out if Black Serpent's poison will be able to be used in that. So Haradrim's going to do well. Rohan 3, well, you only have 1 cleanse, right? You're going to have a lot of damage. You're going to have a lot of damage, especially if you're going to use Strider. but I know I'm going to take flack from this, but I would probably say, if I'm using Rohan 3 on this last boss, I'm probably going to take Strider out and put Ironhide in it, just to get rid of some of those boons and overall damage, and keep Strider with the Road to Rivendell team, because you're going to have multiple cleanses, you're going to have haste, you're going to have heals. I think Road to Rivendell is going to do really well in this late Chapter 4. So those are my estimates right now of what teams are going to probably do well. This is what you need to know going in. Remember, it's going to be approximately the 17th, so roughly in about a week to 10 days, right? Yeah, what's today, the 10th? I think today's the 10th? I'm all out of sorts here. Yeah, today's that. So 7 days, 1 week from today. 1 week from today, it's going to be coming out. So, I hope you guys found this enjoyable, informative. I hope this is going to help you guys start theory crafting, building up your teams for this late Chapter 4. And I hope you guys are excited as I am. I'm really looking forward to doing this. And yeah, until I talk to you guys again, have a great week, have a great weekend, adventure safe, and good luck to you and your fellowship.